This is ashwagandha, a plant native to the Indian subcontinent, and it's been consumed by humans for nearly 8,000 years, before even the first civilizations in the area came to be. But whilst it has been taken for so long, it's recently seen a surge in supplementary use, with many people, from those in the fitness industry to those wanting a relaxant, all making the herb a part of their diet. And most people are stating that the herb seems to be generally effective, which is good, right? Well, there's a lot to think about with all this information, and there's a lot to decipher over whether it's valid. There's so many miracle claims about ashwagandha's properties, but are they all actually true, or is ashwagandha another fad that will die off revealing harmful properties to the consumer? Let's review this evidence and put the claims to rest for good. The majority of people who take ashwagandha do so as it's supposed to alleviate one's stress. But is this true? Well, the supposed mechanism of ashwagandha is that it decreases cortisol levels in the brain. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and upon a stressful stimulus being present, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis in the brain will be active. This sees the paraventricular nucleus secrete glucocorticoids and corticotropin release factor, in turn causing the pituitary gland to release adrenocorticotropin. When this is present, the adrenal glands release cortisol. Once cortisol is in the blood, your heart rate will increase, your body will be using more glucose for respiration, and your brain will be much more active. Serotonin, the neurotransmitter responsible for regulating your mood, will also decrease its neurotransmission. This is the fight or flight response. However, oftentimes, those with chronic stress can't switch off this circuit, meaning they're constantly having cortisol dumped into their blood, which, as you can imagine, isn't good. So, what is ashwagandha actually supposed to do? Well, in your brain, you have a neurotransmitter called gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, which inhibits this hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis by binding into GABA receptors within the paraventricular nucleus. The circuit therefore never really starts, and this is believed to be the mechanism behind ashwagandha, and in fact several studies have found that ashwagandha does in fact increase the concentration of the neurotransmitter GABA in the body. Hence, it therefore does seem true that it can reduce stress and improve one's mood, as serotonin is never really switched off either. Also, GABA has been found to improve memory and focus. As it's inhibitory, it slows down the rate at which these new memory neurons fire, preventing overstimulation and poor coding in the neocortex. So, if ashwagandha is actually increasing the levels of GABA in the body, it can be thought that it would also increase the memory and focus of those taking it, which again is exactly what these studies have found. But ashwagandha can also have some bad effects within the mind. With too much GABA, a person can often become emotionless and empty inside, as no cortisol is ever really being released. As well, too much serotonin without cortisol decreasing it can cause lethargy and tiredness, as proposed by the central fatigue hypothesis. This is why most people you see taking ashwagandha do so in intervals, to sometimes lower their levels of GABA back to baseline. The emotionlessness is honestly pretty terrifying. So yes, ashwagandha has been clinically proven to aid the brain, albeit the side effects, but what else is it supposed to help? The second most common reason people seem to be taking ashwagandha is due to the claimed effects it can have in the gym and on performance, with most articles and influencers claiming that it increases them significantly. Here's Reddit user u/GooberGhost, who said that he feels the strength benefits himself. Well, is he lying? You see, the thing that improves performance in a workout setting is testosterone. It's why most illegal steroids are just synthetic forms of it. It'll give you more energy, be able to make you lift more, run faster and for longer. It's very, very powerful. But without this, you need to rely on your own production, which is the hypothalamus release gonadotropin releasing hormone, in turn causing the pituitary gland to release luteinizing hormone. This then travels to your gonads, stimulating the production and release of testosterone. Now, we don't actually know why this is the case, so this will be a little bit of speculation. However, some people do believe that this works in the same way as the mental benefits seen upon taking the supplement. GABA will lower cortisol, which can affect hormone balance. Testosterone will therefore be less inhibited by stress in the body, free to help your performance. But here's the thing. In most of these studies, only men are used, so we can't really say if it will work in females, if their performance will be improved. Also, how much testosterone levels actually increase in these studies is honestly pretty damn small. It's really small. In fact, it's honestly so small that it's very hard to tell if ashwagandha is actually improving the muscle mass or if it's just the workout itself, followed by a good diet regime. Most, if not all, these studies have participants still within normal range of testosterone levels. They're not getting anything special. If ashwagandha did actually improve performance and the size of muscles, then every athlete in the world would already be taking it, and it would be a lot more common. To me, and to science itself, it seems like it's a placebo. No, it does not improve size, but there was one study on rats where those given ashwagandha had larger testicles, so yeah. Here's where we get a little deeper into ashwagandha's properties. We found that the testosterone hypothesis is largely false, whilst the mental performance is relatively true. But what about cancer? This is another claim from TikTok, but how true is this one? Now, it's important that I state beforehand that ashwagandha is not going to cure cancer, but there has been some very interesting studies on the topic. One study found that with analytes that ashwagandha contains have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, of which chronic inflammation and oxidative stress can contribute to the development of cancer. Thus, we can assume that it would lower the risk. One such mechanism of this is that the protein HSP90, a chaperone protein which can stabilise and support various proteins, including those in cancer growth, is inhibited when withanolides are present. With ferrin A, one such withanolide in ashwagandha binds to HSP90 and interferes with its activity, which can lead to the degradation of oncogenic proteins, slowing down cancer progression. Another interesting study from Widodo et al. Found that ashwagandha can selectively activate the p53 tumour suppressor gene in tumour cells. The cells undergo growth arrest and eventually apoptosis, programmed cell death. These findings are promising, yes, but they are highly specialised laboratory studies or done on animals. We don't really have any clinical evidence suggesting ashwagandha helps cancer in humans, but are there things we can help? The last main point of ashwagandha's social media claims is that it can fix fertility. Again, a lot of interesting studies, but not at all true. So let's start with male fertility, as there's less to unpack. Researchers generally describe that ashwagandha does increase the number of swimmers. I don't really want to get demonetised, so swimmers will have to do. Whilst the literature pool is somewhat mixed, most studies have found an increase in the count after 3 months, potentially due to the antioxidant effects the withanolides bring, improving quality, the anti-inflammatory effects, and even the hormonal balance from the reduced cortisol. It may not be increasing testosterone significantly, but the lowered stress can in fact help produce greater quantities. In regards to female fertility though, there is less research. With the hormonal balance that's practically a given at this point, it's said that ashwagandha can progress to enhance the quality of egg production, increasing the chances of conception. The added stress-reducing properties, the lowered cortisol, makes conception easier and lowers the anxiety that arises when trying to conceive. But again, it's not really clinically tested. This one has only really been done in mice. Nevertheless, lowered stress does improve the chances of conception, and we know this for a fact, so it is worth looking at. So there's the good claims of ashwagandha assessed. Now, what about the risks? Even though ashwagandha does reduce stress and balance one's mood, it can also do the opposite. Ashwagandha, as it lowers cortisol, lowers blood sugar. When this fluctuates, it can cause anger, anxiety, and depression, with many of its users reporting these findings. While some have theirs alleviated, some are getting the same feelings induced. Another risk of ashwagandha is that it does help the thyroid gland with hypothyroidism, an underactive one. It regulates the thyroid hormone. However, when the thyroid gland is already overactive, it will exacerbate symptoms, found to produce weight loss, rapid heartbeat, shaking, irritability, and frequent bowel movements. And finally, you shouldn't take ashwagandha if you're pregnant. Just don't do it. There's little safety data on it, but we know it can mess up your hormones, which can affect fetal development, and can even induce contractions when it's not really the time. So ashwagandha seems to have a somewhat decent profile. Whilst the testosterone thing seems to be largely placebo, it seems it can help with fertility, mental performance, anxiety, and even shows promise in fighting cancer. But with all this, there's still the risks. So would you take it? Let me know in the comments below, and the take-home message today is that no, it does not increase size. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. It's free and it really helps me out. See you next time.